Before you guys can't see us yet. Hold on 1 second. All right. Good morning, folks. Good morning, folks. Let me just make sure all the platforms are straight before we get into some game because we got some game to give out today, as we always do. As you come to expect. Come on.
No yawning allowed.
Huh? No yawning
No,
allowed.
no yawning
Even when you
allowed.
sit down to the sports bar for 12 hours and then you you get
You
to church
know?
the next morning and you run 6 miles and then you do none of that else allowed. All right, let me just all right, we're good to go. Okay, folks, welcome back. As one crook, before we get into it, as one crookshake here, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player and current five-time published author and educator, back for another Stay Hired Sunday with my good friend Miss Kimberly Blue. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Kimberly Blue with Ardent HR Solutions. Nice to see you, Swan.
Oh well, man. So there's a lot of things we got to discuss today. We are approaching the new year. There is at this time of year, for the folks who have known me regularly and known me for the years, they know football really consumes my life. So just get ready between this month and the next 2 months for a lot of football content because there's so many examples from the game that you could be pulling and leaning towards applying towards your business. So today we kind of have a similar topic. We have a topic in which we're going to dive into just how changes happen and how we have to adapt to the type of change and to adapt to the type of world that we currently live in. So if you can recall, 5 years ago, there was something out there. You guys going to put it in the chat if you guys can remind me what it was. I believe it was something called coronavirus. Did I get that right, Kimberly? There was something called
I think it's something like that.
it was
Yes.
something called COVID that made the entire world, it felt like, go remote and work remotely. And, everyone had to pivot. Some people, it was a great thing for some people. It was a good thing for some people. Everybody had a story. In fact, this very podcast, this very platform started around that time. Because I didn't really, obviously, I'm still not very technologically sound, but I was forced to take my abilities and apply it and do a lot of the things that I'm doing now during these COVID times. But friend Kimberly has a great story in regards to some of the recent events that's going on in her life as she's going back now from just being a remote employee to now you happen to go back to the way life was before COVID and all that. So I'll let you kind of talk about it and we'll dive into today's topic.
All right. So, a lot of people went remote. When I first went remote personally, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I need to be around people. I
Yes.
just love being around
That's
people.
how I felt too.
Yes. And I'm like, this is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 5 years later, it was just a thing. It's just life. And 2 months ago, I went back into the office, working for a great university. I'm super excited to be part of a great team, but I did not realize how hard that transition. I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to be perfect. I'm going to be golden.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much. I would leave work every day that first week just crying because it was so hard, because I had worrying about my dog. She's never been by herself. And then, traffic. They used to talk about traffic. I live in the Virginia Beach area and I was like, oh no, I don't deal with any traffic. Well, that's
Right.
because I didn't leave a 2 mile radius of my house,
Exactly. Right.
and now I'm driving. And so everything from getting up in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
making myself, not that I didn't look presentable before, but it's much different going to office, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, worrying about Athena and, then getting off, dealing with the traffic going home. I
Mm-hmm.
get home and I just sat. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's today.
Yes.
Now we're 2 months in and I still, my sister told me, you need to give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so hard on myself. I'm like, why can't I just be perfect? Why
Yeah.
can't it just feel good?
Right.
And that whole, when we started when we first met for our podcast, it
Mm-hmm.
was about the art of adaptability.
Right.
And we can talk about it, but until you do it, you don't realize how hard it is.
Hmm.
So I will tell everyone out there, if you're in a similar situation, I mean, I thought I was prepared like weeks before I started.
Right.
I would try to get myself on schedule, and nothing really prepares you for actually doing it. So I'm sure there's
Exactly.
other stories out there
Hmm.
from other people that experience the same.
Yeah, so you bring up a really interesting topic, and I didn't even plan on telling this story. Well, I'll try to tell. I know we try to keep you here for only 30 minutes, but when I was in college, I went to three different colleges in my first 3 years. The first school was in Tennessee, and obviously I couldn't, commute from Maryland all the way to Tennessee, so I had to stay on campus, and it was a smaller campus. And the next year is when I went to actually Montgomery College. It's basically a community college out in the DMV in the Maryland area. And when I took my first business class, business 101 in Montgomery College, the professor made a statement that was very important, very much something I needed to hear, and I'm re-emphasizing it for you guys. Is he basically compared what we were going through versus a person that may be going to Harvard or maybe going to some fancy university, in which you wake up every morning, you have your breakfast made, go to a cafeteria, and then you go to class, and everything screams comfort, everything screams convenience, everything is just really laid out for you. Versus the person that's going to a community college, you made your own damn breakfast, you probably had to go get gas, you dealt with the traffic,
Right.
you actually had to, you were lucky enough maybe to get a park in that particular school because everybody else was doing it, or everybody else
Yes.
was going attending school, and then you got to class, and then you had to show up ready to learn. And he was saying how that actually prepares you more for life. He recommends even some people who have the grades for these big universities, if you don't know what you want to do, go to community college for 2 years, learn what the working world's like, and then transfer to the bigger schools. And I bring
Right.
that up because you mentioned adaptability, and you mentioned that everything, none of us, you, me, nobody that's actually listening is going to be able to predict the future. We have to simply adapt to what the new norm is. And we've heard
Yes.
that word a ton back during the COVID times. Adapt to the new norm, the new norm, the new norm, the new norm. And I'm going somewhere with this, guys, so just stay patient with me. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because tomorrow, if the regular listeners, you guys already know, there's new episodes that come out on my show every single day. I deliver for you guys every single day, whether it's myself or a guest, right? So tomorrow is going to be the first, like, me and Kimberly, we recorded a podcast this September. We were trying to get the date right, but it was sometime around September. I record so many of them. Sometimes it gets all over the place, but I remember all of you guys, and I appreciate all of you guys. You saw the post I just put out there. But we recorded it, and as I was getting ready for the recording, normally what I like to do is I like to go and watch videos or watch something else that somebody's done. I'm like, where the hell is Kimberly? I don't see nothing about it. I don't see no videos. I don't see anything but a website. And then she finally got on camera, and it was like, have you been on any show before? She goes, no, this is the first one. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I have to really test my ability as a host, and she's obviously testing her ability as, someone that was venturing off into something new. And I'm bringing this up because we are in a situation in the sports world right now where basketball is starting to take over the football world. Football season's coming to an end. Now we're on to basketball, right? And what we're seeing, what the reports have been, is that there's been a decline in viewership. And for some odd reason, the people that have made the most headlines are these two individuals right here. I shouldn't say some odd reason. We know why the reason is. We know JJ Redick, big star at Duke, and he was a big TV personality. And obviously, we know the guy up top. His name is Mr. LeBron James, who, in my opinion, is the GOAT. So, the things I might say about him today in regards to viewership, it's not me differing my opinion. It's just the way the structure of the NBA and the structure of the world has come. So anyway, them two started up a podcast. They started up a podcast a year ago called Mind the Game, which I probably learned more basketball in just listening to them two talk than I ever had in my whole life. And I grew up in Maryland, so that's saying a lot. And all of a sudden, the Lakers fire their coach, and they bring in a guy who's never, ever coached, but clearly showed. And again, you can have your opinions on why if he should be the coach or not, but he showed his basketball knowledge through the podcast. If you guys want to go listen to that podcast, they're diagramming plays. They're talking. It's a natural. And I'm bringing this up because I want to kind of get your perspective on when it was time for you to get on a podcast, or when it was time for you to spread the word about what you do and deliver your thoughts and show whoever was willing to listen that you're qualified to do a certain job. Can you take us back to that point, if you can remember, about what it was like, or what made you say, you know what, it's time for me to start podcasting, it's time for me to start recording more material regularly? And I'm asking because the people out there could be, they could be on the fence about doing it, but they don't know how it's going to lead to more jobs for them. They don't know how it's going to help them in an interview process and all of that. So I'll let you take
Right.
it away.
All right. Well, one on one with people, I am great,
Yes.
and, people would think, oh, she's outgoing. She could do it. But when you guys watch the podcast tomorrow, you'll see a very different person because I was so nervous. And, as great as I am one on one, I was
Right.
petrified to go live, do videos about my business. And I'm like, I don't know what is wrong with me.
Right.
But I cultivate a learning mindset all the time. And I'm like, my coach Derek, he said, well, are you gonna do it or not? And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, don't test me. Yes, we're doing it
Right.
right now.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
then, we got on there, and then I met a swan, and I literally felt like I was gonna throw up before before we
Yeah.
did the podcast. But a swan did make it very easy. It's very conversational, and you just grow. And that's really what it's about. I just said if I'm going to get better, I have to feel uncomfortable, and growth feels really uncomfortable.
Okay.
But look at the difference now. I mean, people are going to laugh, when they see that, and they're going to be like, "That is not the same person."
So let's
Um,
talk about let's talk about Derek for a minute, because he was your coach, and I've hired coaches as well, business coaches as well. And I remember the mastermind group I was a part of. Shout out to Dre if you're listening. But there was another lady who was in your similar situation, who would talk about recording over and over. Like, I mean, she had the website, she had this, she had that, and it kept boiling down to the same answer that Dre would give. He goes, "Look, I'm not gonna put your name out there," but he said, "Look, you still have to just record."
you
No
do.
matter what, like, she was giving him the runaround. It was a whole like, yeah, and I did this, and then he goes, "I know, but you have to record something and put it out there." So speak about a little bit about how he was able to really convince you, because that, I mean, to at least to my knowledge, I don't think she's ever actually recorded an episode, and this happened like 3 or 4 years ago. But you obviously took a different route. What
Yes.
about him made it so you just said, "Look, there's something inside burning inside me that I got to, I just simply got to do it, because if I don't do it, I'll be, there's something that I have to put out there."
They say hang around people,
Hmm.
that are going to motivate you and push you.
Hmm.
If you hang around people that are just like, oh, it's okay,
Hmm.
you're never going to get anywhere.
Right.
And so the one thing I love about Derek, and he's still my coach,
Hmm.
and a friend, that he just pushes me. He pushes me to be better because he knows it's there.
Right.
So when I watch even you, when I watch Derek, I mean,
Hmm.
to me, that motivates me and inspires me to do it. I'm like,
Right.
y'all get up at 4 a.m. and run 6 miles. That is not Kimberly, okay? That is not Kimberly.
Right.
Kimberly will get up and go work out and go walk, but I am not
Right.
running.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
but you have to have your tribe has to be the one to push you, and every time I see you or Derek post, or,
Mhm.
I'm just like, I gotta get busy, man. I've only done two this week. Look at them. They've done five or six.
Right.
So what about Derek that made me push is because he believed in me and he knew
Hmm.
that I had it inside. And you need
Right.
people like that around you in your life.
Mhm. So when you say he believed in you, what were some of the things that you felt that signified that? And again, I ask this because the topic today, if you're just coming in, folks, is how podcasting and job interviews can relate. It's hard when I think one of the most challenging things that happened during COVID was hard finding people that really do believe in you, because everything was so virtual. Everything was all over the place, to where great, we can get in touch with whoever we want to get in touch with, but finding the folks that actually believe in your vision, believe in your cause, that became the challenge, and finding those virtual mentors. So what are the things that signified that he believed in your ability to do what you're doing?
Because he would also say, no, that's not going to work.
Hmm.
That authentic conversation and just saying, just telling the truth, the unaltered truth. You are not doing that right. What do you think about this way? You
Hmm.
know, because it's accountability too.
Right.
So he wasn't afraid the good, bad, and the ugly. So it's not all good, fluffy rainbows. It's
Hmm.
also, you need to focus, on
Hmm.
whatever, because whole body wellness, mental, physical, business, whatever it is. So if you're going to do it, stop talking about it and do it. Are you going to talk about it? Or are you going to do it? And I
Okay.
constantly have that in my mind. Are you going to talk about it? Or are you going to do it?
Okay.
And that's what drives me.
Right. And this is important. This is important stuff for you guys to understand as well, because the hiring the coaches and the paying the money to do a lot of these different things, if it's not burning on the inside of you, it just won't work, guys.
Right.
I
No, it
don't
has to be inside.
It has to be inside of you, and you have to really have a vision for what it is you want your life to look like, with your business and how you want it to work. So when it came to HR solutions, and I know we've talked about it in the past, but you had mentioned serving veterans as being one of the driving forces towards you really putting it together. Uh, I guess, can you sort of speak a little bit about more why I mean, then you guys will hear more about this on tomorrow's episode, but this is still sort of like the preview for what you're going to dive deeper into tomorrow. But when it comes to these veterans and when it comes to the people that you're seeing, again, when you see who you want to serve, your comfort zone, you're willing to get out of your comfort zone because you know you're helping
Yes.
somebody else. So when I see students every day that are going through it without two-parent household, that have all the talent, all the ability in the world, but they're being shafted by a group of adults who are just so selfish to recognize and get out of their own way. I know every time I turn on this camera. In fact, just literally just 2 days ago, I had a student come up to me and say, "Hey, Mr. Asbach, I found your YouTube channel." Just by
Hmm.
looking up my name, and he sees what I'm
Right.
doing. So, when it comes to the people that you're hoping are going to benefit the most from your work and benefit the most from tomorrow's episode, talk to me or talk to not just me, but obviously talk to everyone about uh, what the vision is for them and how you really plan on serving and helping them.
That's such I think when we talked, it might have been a different answer, right? I mean,
There you go,
because
and
you
that's the
grow.
beautiful thing. Let me put it back on the screen again.
Yeah.
I know you guys
Yeah.
see it, but again, the man did not coach ever. He started doing this fire, I mean, hardcore podcast with the greatest basketball player of all time. I mean, going through plays, go and watch it for yourself. You will learn a ton of basketball. And the Lakers were struggling to find a coach, and he had to be the guy. That's what
Yep.
it can do for you. And we're saying that I don't even like the Lakers. I'm a Miami Heat fan, but I'm just saying that as an example of, if you want to get somewhere and the story's not out these days, you're never gonna grow and develop. It won't
Right.
happen. So something has to happen for you to develop and have your stuff out there so people can work with you.
Yep. What really, for me, I hear a lot, and when you're whether it's a corporate environment or just speaking with someone, oh, well, that's how it's always done.
Mhm.
You're never going to grow that way. So you're not going to drive results if you keep in that mindset, and that's personal and professional. So the people that I want to help are the ones that are say, okay, I'm ready for a change. I don't want to keep doing the same thing and getting the same result. I want to pivot. I want to grow, with the world of work. I want to help people. We have, 5 generations in the workforce right now. There's no way we can operate in the same way. So stop saying that's just the way it is. Make a change and do it. So whether it's a veteran, whether it's a company, whether it's personal, you have to take a good look at your company or yourself and say, what can I do better and what needs to go away? Think, start, stop, continue, right?
Mhm.
Get those answers and then make a plan and then execute it. That's it. It's that simple, and you just have to drive. And so those people are the ones that I want to connect with and help them do what they love. Sometimes it could be leaving a job and going somewhere else, but don't take something that you don't love. We work too much, so do what you love.
So your point about the way it's always been done, there's a lot of those out there. It's become
Right.
the norm, and I'm just curious now. I'm just kind of speaking from someone that's not listening. Is avoiding and getting around that mind, because it's really what I've learned, it's really not a person, it's actually a mindset. It's a mindset of people, it's a mindset you've been indoctrinated with, it's a mindset, like I mentioned, when it comes to going to school. When you go to Harvard or you go to Brown, you go to this fancy university, you feel like all of a sudden you're just better than someone that went to community college. That's what's being
Right.
told of you until you run into that person. When it comes to fighting that mentality of this is the way it's always been done, what are some of the strategies that you may have in place, or even may be able to tell people about how to work around those people? I mean, podcasting, yeah, it's a great tool as well. But what else may you be able to? I know we're running up on time here, but what else may you be able to share in terms of getting around the mindset of it's always the way it's been done? They're paying us every 2 weeks. You're happy with your salary. Just shut the f up.
Yeah.
All that stuff that's burning in you again. And I'm around a lot
But
of
it's
those.
true.
That's how it's been. That the whole thing is, when's my next vacation? Am I gonna have enough for this? And it's a selfish mentality that is
It
plaguing
is.
our society. So,
Yeah.
what are the strategies and tips that you can give towards getting around that whole concept?
Yeah. So one thing again, as I said, identify what it is. You can't change everything at one time. So identify the one or two things that you
Okay.
think needs to be changed, and
Right.
then
Well,
in business.
not to cut you off, but on that
Mhm.
point about identifying, and I want to make sure I give a personal example for you guys, is when you're able to identify it's something that's burning and pissing you off. All right. There was I don't know, not probably I didn't tell the story on this show yet, so I'll tell it now. But there was a colleague I had about a year ago. She's no longer at the school, but the last day we ever spoke to each other was the meeting, and she had mentioned something about kicking one of the kids out of school. Like the I hate to even call him a principal, but the person that brings in people, I'm gonna just use that term with him, had mentioned something about kicking a kid out the school because at the time she had eczema, obviously. So she's itching. She's a first grader. She has eczema. She has bad tantrums, obviously, because she's a kid. But they had mentioned kicking her out to school, and it got said in a way that was, oh, we can kick her out and still get paid because of the way the money structure comes in. So what happened was I raised the red flag. I said, whoa, if you have that mentality, we're not going to have any effing kids to teach. So I
Right.
raised that, I offered that rebuttal. And then the person didn't say anything in the meeting, but she comes to me after, like, oh, what are you talking about not kicking somebody out? So we ended up getting into it, obviously. And we never talked again for the entire year. We still don't talk. She came in the, I still can't stand her ass. But where was I going? Yeah. So when it comes to identifying, and I say that because when it comes to identifying these things, it can be hard to identify if you don't realize, hey, something should be triggering you. All right, something that somebody says. Again, this is somebody that I'm in the same industry as, teaching, education, all that. But when somebody says something that is so far off what your core beliefs are and what your principles are, that's what she means when she says identify it. I cannot stress that enough, because if you ignore that, if I chose to ignore that particular thing, my mentality could have easily, my mentality or my personal mentality wouldn't have happened, but it could have easily been thought of that as one was like some regular teacher that is just going to be okay with folks getting kicked out and stuff like that, when it's clear that nobody with that mindset is coming to me with that kind of nonsense. So anyway, go ahead. I didn't mean
Mhm.
to stick your thunder there.
And that's true. If it bothers you to that point, then that's the thing. You
Yeah,
know.
it
You
did. It
know.
did. Okay, when you said identify, because I was thinking about how can I teach somebody how to identify these behaviors, and you'll identify it in the least you'll least expect it. Somebody gonna say something that really
Yes.
just like, wait, what the hell are we doing? We're teaching 8 hours a day, and you're telling me it's okay to kick a kid out? That's a good strategy, mofo, because we get paid anyway. Get the
And when you roll your
God,
eyes and put
I
your
ain't
head
cussing.
down, that's the thing.
That's the thing. God, I ain't cussing. I've been doing well all week. I'm good. I'm really good. I mean, Pastor Rochelle gave another sermon today. So anyway, I'll go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go. We got five.
So, all
I've
right.
talked
So,
about.
once you do that, then you're going to have to bring in people to collaborate with,
Yes.
because the more people that you have, diverse, train of thoughts, and say, okay, here is, our hiring practices or our onboarding practices, or here's our employee engagement scores.
Right.
Okay. You know, how can we change this? And then you're going to get the group of people together and then brainstorm. It's not just, you're going out, you have a Superman cape on. You have to bring other people with you.
Yes.
or a consultant and say, this is my issue. How can we fix it?
Hmm.
And then come up with an actionable, you have to be actionable as something that you can execute and look for those quick wins and then execute the rest of them.
Hmm.
And it really starts with the person or the business owner.
Hmm.
You have to first, like, you have to believe it yourself
Right.
and be sold on it before you could sell somebody else on it.
What would be an example of a quick win?
It takes me back to the time we were doing employee engagement plan, and some of
Hmm.
them were just like, I want to learn, different areas. I really don't know what my company does aside from my functional area. So a quick win would be that you set up like a cross collaboration with different teams. So if,
Hmm.
Kimberly's in HR and I want to learn media, then I get with the media team and partner with them and learn whether it's, once a week, once a month, and, learn that function, or a mentor program, where I want to learn something else or I want to get better at my own craft. That's something that is a very quick win, doesn't cost anything, and it can be executed very quickly.
Ding, 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 ding. The judge says sustain, folks. Sustain. All right. I asked that very strategically. I asked that for a reason because too often do you guys see, guys, this is being recorded and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Did she say money? Did she say money? Did she say sales? Did she say anything that had anything to do with a profit? Yes, it's going to lead to profit, but a quick win
Yes,
can simply be culture and evaluating exactly what you're doing here. And that'll lead to obviously the main thing, which is profits, but that'll lead to a group of people that are motivated to show up to work
yes,
for that reason. Opposite from what I just shared in terms of a person who is there for a check and can care less that this girl who is being raised by a single mother, the mother comes and picks her up every single day, can care less what that woman's going through. I don't want her in the school because she causes too many tantrums, so let's just kick her out because we're gonna be good regardless.
yep,
You see what I mean? Do you see? You guys understand that if you create culture and you just create opportunities for collaboration, it will lead to more of a cohesive mindset among your people. That's what's going to make you the real money. Now, the quick little profits that you get, yes, every company is going to get lucky with a sale here and there, but to really stay around, what's really actually going on in the NBA, since we're talking about the NBA, is the fact that viewers are turned off by the flopping. People go to the games and you're talking about load management and folks ain't playing all their games and all that nonsense. The long term, they're losing money in the long term because you're trying to protect the short term profits that you got. That will not work. So, all that being said, folks, before I officially close, I'll let you, add any last words that you may want to share and
okay.
all that stuff.
So just think about 2025 is coming up fast.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let me
So
look at the date. It's so this isn't the last. No, this isn't the last show of the year, but it's the last one before Christmas.
yep, I would challenge you to, take 3 or 5 things to work on in 2025.
Hmm.
One of them is human connection, especially in remote worlds and even in person worlds, we get busy. Make connecting with your team intentional in the next year. Intentional. Whether
Yes.
it's a one-on-one and have it mean something, not just, hey, how you doing? Okay, bye. Have something to talk about and help somebody grow this year. And
Yes.
then embrace adaptability, be
Mhm.
able to pivot, work on it, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. At least
And
those 2 things.
yeah, that I mean, look, you covered it perfectly. I think it's going to become more the trend, and especially seeing that we lived through COVID, but now we're back to normal. But having lived through it, we know what is actually possible. So when you
Yes.
get a merger of this virtual way of working, but then going back to the normal way of working, and when we know something's possible, folks, then the actual possibilities do become endless. That was it's funny because that was the slogan for the community college that I went to, Montgomery College. Endless possibilities. So I'll
There you
officially
go.
I'll officially drop the mic with that one, man. Everyone out there, you guys know me, man. I'm on here every day. We'll tap into more recapping and details about all of the college football and all the NFL football that I watched yesterday, and I'll be aligning it with how you work with business and how that applies to you as a business owner. So if you went out there, unless is there anything else you want to add?
Nope. If you need any help or want some mentorship, you can visit ardentHRsolutions.com. See you next time.
All right, folks, everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Well, before we do that, where's my head at? Patreon.com. I forgot to make my announcements.
Oh.
All right. Main one, patreon.com/as144. We have something for everybody, regardless of where you are financially, preseason, regular season, and postseason. So make sure you tap in with me on the Patreon link as well. So now I can officially close. As one, Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.